dais, the Deputy Dean, Tribhuvan University Faculty of Management, Associate Professor Navaraj Adhikari.
Speaker, Mr. Mahendra, respected presentators, commentators, I am really honored to welcome you all marketing research on behalf of Avant Garde and consulting firm providing services, what they look at the advertisements and their messages and how they develop liking and disliking the messages, perceive the products and services, and finally make purchase and repurchase decisions. This seminar will also address the marketing strategies and practices of Nepali organizations and highlight implications of the research findings on improving their marketing policies and practices. It is expected that the discussion will be helpful to developing mutual cooperation between the academicians and the practitioners in generating new knowledge and improving marketing performance.
Of this program, thank you.
Give you some idea about the whole research process. It's a long, tedious process, and I can summarize in 5 minutes. But let me tell you what happens in the minds of researchers. First of all, you have to identify an issue that is researchable, that is meaningful, that is either contributing to theory or understanding of a situation, or problem solving or decision making for businesses. Once they have identified an issue like that, the next thing, the next hurdle is having a model. It could be a qualitative model or it could be a quantitative model. You have to put everything in that model. And model is a very complex thing. And the models are created by people who are older, who are wiser, who have wonderful exposure in the areas, who have worked for many, many years actually, and who are very good in quantitative skills or qualitative skills, and they have eventually given models. There are thousands and thousands of techniques actually. And then the challenge is you have to find a model that best suits to understanding that particular problem at hand. And imagine actually how much effort is taken by our amateur researchers, young researchers, in trying to find out the right model. It's a big hurdle. And after that one, what is the next step? You have to collect data. That's another major problem actually in our country. Data, we have two kinds of data, we know all, really. Primary source of data and secondary source of data. If it is published source, then research becomes very easy actually. And secondary data is available, but it is not published, and some people are sitting on it as if like this is their own property and they would not want to share it. So what do? You basically do chamchagiri to them actually. So you're making a lot of effort, spending time to piece that. It's not supposed to be like that. And if you are working with the primary data, initially you build a model saying that I want to have a methodology. I will collect data on the basis of some random selection, random method technique. Then what happens? It's a very time consuming and you need a lot of money, and then eventually the researcher has to give up and transforms to convenience sampling. So very quickly random sampling is changed into convenience sampling. And then let's say, okay, finally they got the data as well. Then what is the next step? You have to know a software that is going to be useful in using your data for estimation techniques. And reading that software itself could be a couple of months job, could be 6 months job. It's a lot of time actually. It's reading another 3 credit or 4 credit. Okay, once you get the output, then what happens? You have lots of things, lots of output. Computer just throws garbages actually. And you as a researcher have to find out a pattern out of all that garbages. Find out what is reasonable and what is not reasonable. Find out the validity of your measurements and output. Find out reliability of your measurement. Find out robustness of your output. If it is sensitive to changes in variables, in data, etc. So you can imagine the whole process. Then what happens once the output is created? The biggest part is analyzing your data. And data analysis is a very complex job. And that is where we fumble. Because analyzing data would mean is looking at data from microscopic point of view, doing literature survey, trying to find out who has found what, and why your result makes sense and it doesn't make sense, and what is its implication, and where have you gone wrong, or what possibly could be wrong, limitations in your research. That's very important actually, because you have to tell the crowd and the audience that my research has a limitation, so that somebody can take it forward, try to rectify the limitation. So it's a long and tedious process. And our friends, team of researchers have gone through this whole tedious process. So now, what is the possibility of training MPhil and PhD in research skills? We provide courses in research skills. We have 3 or 4 trimester courses in research skills. So after understanding all of that one, they have to read tons of, and then finally come up with an idea and a problem, and that they have to find a research. So they have gone through this long, elongated process. It's a lot of hard work they have put. So I want to congratulate them again for this hard. As I said, that it's a research-oriented program because we want to develop research for the businesses, for the economy, and so on, so that at least that kind of manpower is available. I have to say is, when we are conducting research, we also put a lot of emphasis on ethics and values. We should not be falsely providing. We should keep our integrity with respect to develop plagiarize. There are lots of things, lots of ethics, values go into the making of a research. Actually, what I want to say is, so research is a very difficult job. It's a very difficult job. Somebody who takes everyone to see these kind of seminars again and again. And having said that, I like to say many thanks.
Today, we have the General Manager of Sujal Foods, Mr. Mahendra Shrestha, with experience in marketing, especially. So now I'd like to call him on stage to share a few words.
We have 2 functions at our marketing department. We do marketing campaigns and product development. In marketing campaigns, what we do is we create marketing plans, execution control, and review. That's our major functions. The another function is we do concept development, and we do product prototyping and product launch, and then review. The marketing plan, brand managers to look into it, and we have got another brand managers to look after product development. We do various kind of research at Suzu. We do product sensory that comprises of product taste, looks, aroma, color, fun, and novelty. Product or company may require various kind of resources to overcome their problems and exploit opportunities.
Page of 200 pages has been put down into 8 slides, more or less. That's why they are given 10 minutes time, then I will ring the bell. Once the bell is rung, and then the presenter has to stop. That is the discipline that we have taught them for so many years. When times, then stop.
The users of internet in Nepal is tremendously growing. Research has been conducted taking this particular constructs, and the model as. So this is the trend that we can see the investment done in different countries regarding internet advertising. So this I have already told that the acceptance of internet advertisement is high everywhere. And even in Nepal, the service tax these companies pay to the government is significantly high. The payment made by ISPs or any other companies who are facilitating this kind of services. It means that users are increasing day by day. And this particular study is focused on the attributes on ad, and which particular attribute is to be taken by the designers, basically, while doing a database marketing, while promoting which age group to target, and how this could happen.
Try to test the effectiveness of the ad in the form of number of applicant to the colleges. I have tested the effectiveness. I have tried to test the effectiveness of the ad in the form of number of applicant to the college. If the number of applicant is increased, ad is effective. If number of applicant is not increasing, the ad is not working. So I have tried to measure the effectiveness in the form of number of applicants, and I have tested 8 elements of ad. I have tested 8 elements of the ad. One is physical representation. Physical representation means in the advertisement, we see college building, we see playing field, we see interior, exterior, all physical environment is presented on the advertisement. Does it work? Second thing I have tested is endorsement. Somebody, the celebrity, the Raya Samaj is endorsing one college, other is on, or some academician are endorsing the colleges. Does those endorsements in the advertisement work? Or the past performance, the past results and achievement of the colleges mentioned in the advertisement, does it increase the number of applicants? Or the emotional appeal used in the ad? Or even the testimonials, the students' statements, their testimonials about their college, does it attract the students to increase the number of applicants? And image portrayed about the college, okay, the image, what this college stands for, what it produces. Sometimes the college try to portray the image of the college in the form of ad and through the various persons, objects, and variety of things. They try to portray the image of the college. The portraying image increase the number of applicants. And finally, 2 more things I have tested is whether increasing the overall size of the ad increase the number of applicants, or whether repetition of the advertisement, frequently advertising, increase the number of applicants. These things I have tested in my research.
Also has just introduced me. I think my introduction is not required. So I would like to directly go to my presentation. My topic is formation of brand equity in smartphones. How the brand equity is formed. So smartphone market, I believe that everyone in this hall holds a smartphone. And it's a very rapidly changing industry with a huge amount of technological innovation is occurring. Some data in Nepal show that 50% of the people hold a smartphone. This data has been obtained from some of the telecommunications networks. So there is even an opportunity of 50% to cater the market. 50% use bar phone and feature phone, and they are shifting from the bar phone and feature phone to the smartphones. The market is very, very competitive as well, and there is an opportunity as well. In terms of Nepal, the smartphone is also pioneered in Nepal, and the competition has also been very intense in Nepal as well. What is brand? Brand is something that customer responds differently to a product, and the value of that brand is called the brand equity. In this research, the brand equity means the brand preference. Brand preference means that I prefer the brand as compared to other brands. That's called brand preference. Brand loyalty. I am loyal to the brand. I recommend this brand to other people, my friends, relatives. This is called the brand loyalty. Brand repurchase intention is something I'm going to buy the same brand again and again. This is called the repurchase intention. So these 3 terms comprises of the brand equity in this research. The competition has become so intense that it has become very essential prerequisite for any marketing managers to work on the brand equity. And this smartphone is not an exception. Therefore, in a very competitive environment, a very rapid environment, so we need to know how the brand equity is formed in the smartphone in order to revive a marketing and promotion strategy. It's very, very.
C are known as private label brands. They are basically created, controlled, and promoted by the retailers. So that's the distinction they make in respect to national brands. So it has been evolved long back in United Kingdom by Sainsbury, and it has recently come to our country. So why do we need to study private label brands? So it's fundamentally for two reasons. One, there is a huge growth of organized retail stores in the country. If you name few, that is Botany, Big Mart, Cellware, CG Mart, KK Mart, and it's evolving. There's a long list, and if you see their plans, they are in ever expanding spree. And with that expansion of retail chains, there's opportunities to sell their own products with higher gross margin. So it can leverage the retailers. So what did I study? Basically, I studied a simple thing, that is consumers' exposure to private label brands through self-display, income,
and how it affects the decision-making process. So first of all, we have to understand what exactly consumer socialization is, because it is a typical jargon in marketing. Consumer socialization is a process of young children understanding, getting knowledge, skills, and attitudes so that they can function as a consumer when they grow up in the marketplace. So it is one of the subdivisions of consumer behavior, and it generally talks about, it focuses on making and understanding the behavior of children and adolescents so that we can generally understand what kind of behavior they are going to show when they're grown up, how they are going to function as consumers when they grow up. So the logic behind the research is that, firstly, we do not see much studies on children, and consumer socialization is the emerging concept here in Nepal. Of course, it has been used a lot by advertisers, and it has been used by organizations and marketers to promote their products, but we still do not see much being done in this field. So the first is it really helping the marketers? Is it really giving much to the organizations? Second thing is, children have their own segment. And because we're very much emotionally attached with the children, what we see is children also have some kind of positive impact upon what kind of consumption is done by the family. So they are major influencers in the family consumption also. We took 384 schoolgoers who are aged between 7 to 16 for the research, and they are taken from 18 different schools. And for the research, the tool that was used is SPSS, and SPSS 18 was used for the analysis of the data.
Also, not very colorful and interesting one, but again a difficult topic, and some scholarly words also. Probabilistic approach, customer defections, very difficult word I come forward while doing the research. Normally defection in the business profession, the consumer come into the last stage to cancel the relationship with the service provider. That is the defection. Normally the defection comes with one more word, the churn. Customer defection and customer churn. In churn also, customers cancel the relationship with the customers, service provider. But in churn, the customer can again come to the same service provider. If you are watching IPL at this time, you may see the ad of Airtel. That advertisement is about the churn. Last time I bought the Airtel, I switched to Medi. I again came to the same, that is the churn. But in customer defection, the customer permanently cancels the service with the service provider. The last customers' data, from that, those customers were acquired from 2003 to 2008. The 5 years customers were acquired, and those customers were tracked up to 2015. And these customers' data has been taken from the data warehouse of the company, and their cancellations pattern has been studied. And this has been studied using the duration analysis. Sometimes it is also called the survival analysis also.
India, for example. I come from IIT, so so the IIT, like my institution, hosting a website, web portal, it somehow remodels the organization, focusing into more on the value chain. Okay, this is the management floor. So it's basically a value chain and value-added services delivery. Evolving more. For example, startup.
I think it would be better if we merge the questions. The question is, children's role in developed countries is crucial and important to influence their parents. They point out things they like to buy and parents cannot refuse to buy because they weep and force them to buy. Parents should buy what they want to buy. Do you not agree that their role is important also? So, firstly, I feel that we have kids ourselves and we understand how desperate we become at times, what tantrums children throw to us, and what are some of the things that we actually have to face. We all have faced that, and I think the question came because of that reason. Of course, children weep. Of course, children throw tantrums. They create a havoc also. They do. We all have witnessed it, and if we haven't till this time, I am pretty sure that we are going to face that at a time or another. But it does not mean that we do not take them to shopping. It does not mean that we make them consumer literate. If we take children to shopping, then they are going to understand how they can become good consumers. So by being a good consumers, here what we are trying to say here is they learn how to bargain, they learn how to use money, they learn how to use cards, the various cards, the plastics that we use these days. They also understand how we can understand what is superior and what is inferior. They understand various things. So what we face is some people, they do not go shopping because they fear shopping. And if we take children shopping, they understand the know-hows of being a consumer when they at least grow up in their life. So of course children are children, they are going to create tantrums, they are going to do that. We cannot be safe from that. They are going to do that, okay. But then we have some responsibilities as parents towards our children so that we can make at least consumer literate. So that is what I feel. Even if propagandas are created by children, we have our role, and our role should be fulfilled as parents and as other socialization agents. The next question.
If the two mobile phones, Samsung SG and Huawei P20, if they are of the same quality, which do I prefer? Which do you prefer as well? It's not only the product quality that matters, but it's also the promotion. What type of promotion campaign are you doing? Are you designing the promotion campaigns focusing and making aware of the product quality? We said that product quality is very essential, but the advertisement, promotion, are they making the same way? It's not only the product features matter, but that vast number of factors, as suggested in our research, promotion also plays a very big role. This is the second.
On behalf of presenters, I would like to thank the audience as well. And then finally, I hope that what you are being presented here could be accepted not as it is, but findings as well.
Internet Act and how to make it acceptable to all the masses. One, in 2 to 3 billion plus kind of countries, how to really make them personalized will still be a question. How to make the viewers look at these, how not to make them skip is going to be the case. And he has also suggested to make it less irritating probably some exact actions to reduce irrigations would have been overcome.
6 presentations, presented by various individuals were pretty appreciable. And I would like to give you some, corporate perspective on market research. If you see, the market research for us is if something is actionable, then that's good for us. We don't really do the research just for the sake of doing research. Actually, nobody does that, but don't take it otherwise. The point I'm mentioning this here is, I think one of the presenters have also mentioned that in the very first slide, somebody Chanakya's slope or something like that. Academicians will provide the knowledge and then the practicing managers will implement or action. In my language, we say that any knowledge if it's not actionable, is just like, as good as not having a knowledge. Just like to touch it from the corporate perspective. All 6 presentations were really commendable. I was impressed with the kind of efforts and the presentations and the findings which was presented this afternoon. The first is Facebook, as some of the presenters have mentioned about Facebook. I can just reach the person that I want. I know the Facebook knows this guy is going to read newspaper at 6 in the morning. So 6 o'clock, when he opens the Facebook, so some newspaper thing can pop out in his profile or next to his profile. And there's another guy, who's going to who's done 3 car trials, 4-wheeler trial. He knows, he's the guy to reach for the 4-wheeler advertisement, which probably the traditional media cannot do. Every day or every next day you have a jacket page in the newspaper. Jacket page is that the first page, whole page, and inside page as well. I don't know how much of you know Kantipur would charge for that jacket page. I can tell you, in the informal session outside, it was pretty expensive. But 5 years back or 10 years back, we hardly used to see any jacket page. We used to see maximum 100cc in the front page. Jacket page has emerged. It has emerged in the outside Nepal also, and it has come to Nepal. Today, probably out of 365 days, I would say at least 65 or 100 plus days would be the jacket page. So that's that people are real.
It is my great pleasure and privilege to be here as one of the partner institute Tribhuvan University. So I do not want to diagnose this because Professor Bajracharya has already done the micro-analysis of the different paper. First of all, I would like to congratulate to all the 6 paper presentators. So what I do believe that resource is limited, creativity is unlimited. So if you see the international practices, normally creativity is based on the innovation, and innovation can be generated through the research. So therefore, and this type of the program definitely will increase the mileage of the academician as well as the practitioner. If you see the practices of some of the Nepalese institution, Nepalese university, and still we are making the approach like a teaching-based university rather than the research-based university. Because if you see even in the international practices, normally we need to customize, we need to give more focus to the research-based university so that we can better disseminate the research finding to the corporate sectors. And even we need more about the dialogue and collaboration between the academician and the practitioner. Even we need to develop this such type of the research-based culture in the university also. Thank to the Mahendra Shrestha, Abhay Prasad Gorkhali, special thank to the Professor Dr. Pushkar Bajracharya sir, Vinod Krishna Shrestha sir,